leave it here for right now. We'll get back to Erin. And to actually, Erin, let me stick with you real quick. There's one part here. I'm on page 22 now as I'm working through this. And it really does kind of get into the fact that, it's about where these documents were stored at Mar-a-Lago. And here is part of this. On June 8th, 2022, the DOJ counsel sent former President Trump's counsel a letter, and it was really indicating that Mar-a-Lago does not contain a secure location authorized for storage of classified documents. As such, it appears since the time classified documents were removed from secure facilities at the White House and moved to Mar-a-Lago on or around January 20th, 2021, they have not been handled in an appropriate manner or stored in an appropriate location. So, I think this seems to be somewhat significant here, that the documents were at Mar-a-Lago, but not in an approved location, not secured enough. Erin, you've been at Mar-a-Lago a lot.
It's not plenty of times.
Yeah, talk to us about this. What do you think about this?
Okay. This makes absolutely no sense. You cannot get on the property of Mar-a-Lago. There are security guards, Secret Service, armed officers literally guarding every entrance to the place. If your name is on a list or you are a member, you are vetted, pre-approved, and then allowed to enter. Then you're only allowed to, visit certain areas on the property, which are also very guarded. If you're like, let's say walking in like this, looking over to the left, that's the president and first lady and Barron's residence, also guarded by Secret Service. There are cameras everywhere. There are video recordings 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This place is locked down and airtight. So I really don't understand what this is alleging. And by the way, you were talking about they need something huge here. What we call that is a smoking gun, right?
Right.
There doesn't seem to be any sort of smoking gun here. And whatever is redacted, we don't know anything about. Redaction is a process that we do in the law to protect sensitive information, confidential information, or information that is, part of an ongoing investigation. But Mar-a-Lago in and of itself and by its very nature should be declared and considered a secure location. It's not like you're sitting on the lobby having lunch and you can just see what President Trump is doing in his personal quarters. Yes, it's a public place to a certain degree, but it is very contained, very well monitored, very secure, very private. So this doesn't really sound like they have a leg to stand on here, and it sounds just like a fishing expedition.
Yeah, and I finally got to the conclusion here, Erin, page 30 of the document, and it says, based on foregoing facts and circumstances, I submit that probable cause exists to believe that evidence, contraband, fruits of crime, and other items illegally possessed in violation of 18 U.S. Code 793, section whatever, will be found on the premises. Further, I submit that this affidavit supports probable cause for a warrant to search the premises described in Attachment A and Attachment B. And we'll get to those in a second. But, again, this comes down to where the documents were sealed. We have a timeline that started in January when President Trump left the White House. It stretches into February when there was contact made and investigators showed up at Mar-a-Lago, and is now stretched into July and August when the raid actually went down. So, again, I think, Erin, we have a difficult time, wrapping our head around the timeline and why this had to happen now.
Absolutely. And I'm going to go back to something that you said, fruits of a crime. Well, why aren't we seeing any of those fruits? Moreover, they said there was probable cause to obtain that warrant. Probable cause in this situation may not have been without political bias. We already know that this judge was someone who donated to Hillary Clinton and had spoken poorly about President Trump. Probable cause doesn't need a prosecutor and a defense attorney and a jury of someone's peers to ascertain that there is probable cause. It can be a biased form to get to that conclusion. So honestly, all of this, starting from the very warrant itself to search the premises, could have been flawed and marred in political controversy. So starting from the top to the bottom and the left to the right, there are a lot of holes in this story and nothing is adding up. There is no smoking gun, as we said. We don't see that aha moment where they got President Trump. As of right now, it's very unclear. And by the way, there are going to be chain of custody issues, as we say in the law. Let's say you find a gun somewhere and, if you want to use that in trial, you need to know what happened when the police seized that gun, where it was stored up until the date of the trial. So where were these documents taken? Could they have been tampered with? Could have evidence been planted? They really better prove their case. The chain of custody was done meticulously and without flaw, because there are so many holes to this story and so many problems, starting with the probable cause, the warrant, and the raid. Also, in a warrant, you need to specifically describe the place to be searched and the things to be seized with specificity.
And they never did that.
Yes, so you need to know within a certain time. Probable cause can't be from 8 months ago, 10 months ago. So it has to be really recent.
The timeline is really something to focus on. All right, Erin, we're going to cut it off for now. Thank you for your insight on this. We'll get back to you hopefully a little bit later. Erin Elmore for us. We'd also like to welcome in now Harvard Law Professor Emeritus and Newsmax contributor Alan Dershowitz. Professor Dershowitz, great to have you back with us.
Well, thanks. I agree with some of what was said by a previous guest, but I disagree fundamentally with some of it. There's plenty of probable cause.
On the standard of proof, you have, of course, reasonable suspicion, which the Supreme Court has articulated is more than a mere hunch. But probable cause is even one step further than reasonable suspicion. And so it can't just be on, the National Archives' belief. It can't be on a hunch. It can't be just on their understanding of potentially a suggestion that maybe these documents are classified. And so it has to be more than that. And so what I would like to know is how certain and how confident are they that these were actually classified documents?
If you get more than two lawyers together, at least two of them are going to disagree on something. So we can get some different perspectives.
That's what lawyers do. We all disagree, and that's why the justice system should be what it is in terms of having different arguments, different legal theories, different representation. Obviously, if you're actually the attorney record representing whether it's the DOJ or President Trump, but reasonable lawyers, of course, can disagree. And we always do. We're not